And hopefully the cat leaves us alone for this episode and all is okay in the software world.
Oh, Swan never disappoints. Smash by Sats at Swan. What's that, Swan? What's that? Oh, Swan's hungry. I have to breastfeed the Swan.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
They have sensitive nipples, but the Swan is gentle.
Right. Hopefully you can hear us and see us and stuff like this. I had to do a full upgrade of our operating system. I had kind of like put it off for a few months, that whole Big Sur update, because, you know, every time there's a Macintosh update of their operating system, it's like all sorts of chaos, especially in the audio function. And as we use audio and it's so important to us, I usually delay it. But anyway, yesterday it seemed to have some sort of huge malfunction with that situation. So hopefully we're live and it's all working well.
I can make a Swan out of my hands.
I'm going to pull this right here. So, because people say Max is quieter than Stacy, but it's just like natural because women talk more, right? That's what they say. That's what
I can't comment on that because the Me Too scared the shit out of me. That whole Me Too movement. So I don't have anything to say about that. I saw men get gelded right in the middle of Main Street all over America. Is that the right word, gelded?
I have
I
no
think
idea.
that means when you have your balls removed.
Well, I'm saying everybody be on the lookout for this thing.
Uh-oh.
This cat.
Meow meow.
This cat is after us and is trying to take us down. You know, the thing is, like, these cats fight dirty because look, they send cats like this. Look, right?
Yeah.
Like, if we go out there and we go on CNN and we say, hey, you know, there's suppression of free speech happening here. These cats are taking us down. Who are you going to believe, right? They're going to be like, that kitten is so cute. Like, it's harmless. They just go, meow.
Yeah, but look at the eyes.
Look at this. Yeah, look at those eyes.
Yeah, but look at the eyes. Okay, if you've seen those documentaries on the BBC or National Geographic where they put automaton monkeys and gorillas out in the jungle, right?
Yeah.
And they try to play with the monkeys out there. You look at the eyes; they're obviously, robots.
Robots, right?
And that cat has robot eyes. That's not a natural cat. That's a robot cat, and it's being manipulated by actual cats. You know, the actual cats send in their robot doppelgangers backstage to the simulation, as I was explaining in the previous episode. They are in charge of the simulation. They were put in charge by the Almighty himself, who is essentially looks at humans the way cats look at little plastic mice. Toys, just toys. That's all we are. Toys.
We're
Toys
to these cats.
And the cats are the toys to God.
So it's been a big day again. I think we have to microdose every day, providing the cats allow us. Of course, we need permission from the cats.
They're forcing us.
So, you know, it's a big day in Bitcoin, of course. Again, a new all-time high. It was 48,200 the last I looked, but I think it had come down. We're aiming for 50,000. We tried to levitate the Fed yesterday. We won't mention it too much today because...
Let me check my block clock to see what the current price is. Oh, it's not working. And when I called customer service and I emailed them, they told me to fuck off, Max. We don't care about the product. So we don't know now. We're the only ones with a non-working block clock. Thanks, NVK.
It's also, of course, where the ones like that our live stream goes down and stuff like that. So it could be a technical thing or it could be the cats.
I don't believe it. I refuse to accept that. I just don't get it, man. I know we're on block like 680,000 or something like that, but we don't have a current lock. Hey, how's it going? Did we go down? Did it crash or anything?
Nope. We're still live streaming here.
Smoothly.
We're microdosing 50,000. I'm hoping it gets to 50,000 during this episode because as we were saying yesterday, we're trying to levitate the Fed. Just like Abby Hoffman, we're feeling like if we, he was going to use psychedelic powers. We don't even need psychedelic powers because Bitcoin is the psychedelic power in itself, right? So all we need to do is all smash by at the same time on swanbitcoin.com/orange pill. And if we smash by at the same time, that is like a psychedelic power. That is using psychedelic powers against the Fed, against the money printers. And it's been big in the news today. The thing driving to 50,000. Some people on Twitter are arguing that the reason why Bitcoin is heading to 50,000 right now is because Max took off his pants yesterday, or his trousers for you in Britain. Smash like, by the way, while we're saying this, and Max is dancing for you. So what I'm saying is that we can use our powers to turn the Fed orange, to turn the central banks orange, to cause them to vibrate and become orange and start the hash war, right?
Yeah, heck yeah. There's news on the hash war every day because countries are now getting into competitive mining and hoarding. Ray Dalio is going to be a keynote speaker at Consensus. He's got the biggest hedge fund in the world. He's going to be buying Bitcoin. It's time to front run Ray. As I told Ray last year, your performance stinks. You were down 18%. You need some alpha. Buy some Bitcoin. Need some alpha. Buy some Bitcoin.
Right. I'm just going to quickly go over some of these headlines today, but I think the biggest one, because we were talking about the hash war before this thing took us off air yesterday. Because look, we're still on air today, right? So
yeah, it's toying with us.
So it must have been the cat. That's the only explanation. But the big story is because we were trying to start a war, and obviously it worked because today, keeping with this theme of cats running the simulation and the whole Bitcoin meme space, this guy seems almost like a concerned troll. Like he's not actually
who?
The guy in the Senator Sani Musa in Nigeria. He said these words in the Senate of Nigeria today. Quote, cryptocurrency has become a worldwide transaction of which you cannot even identify who owns what. The technology is so strong that I don't see the kind of regulation that we can do. Bitcoin has made our currency almost useless or valueless. Like, who has pitched Bitcoin ever better than that?
Nobody. That's the best pitch of Bitcoin ever. He's admitting, as a senator, as a politician close to the central bank in a country that's not sure what to do with Bitcoin, even though the citizens are running away with the market, that it is going to obviate their local currency, the paper money. All paper money goes to zero, Senator. That's been the story for 300 years. Your people in Nigeria have empowered themselves, essentially a country that is in the grip of the oil oligopolists, a country, part of a continent that's had hundreds of years of colonial devastation. The people are saying enough is enough. We want our own currency. We're entrepreneurial. We can compete with China. We can compete with America. Give us the Bitcoin and we'll show you. We'll drive this GDP of this Nigerian nation up 5, 6, 700%. Just leave us alone to build the country using Bitcoin and shut the fuck up. Not only does Bitcoin make the central bank obsolete, it also makes all the politicians obsolete. If the politicians want together and organize a street sweeping or some toilet cleaning or some other municipal activities, fine. But get out of the way in terms of building the country. Leave that to the entrepreneurs in Nigeria who are brilliant, who are now fully hyper-Bitcoinized.
Right. And here, I mean, this is just amazing, right? Because I haven't even looked at Peter Schiff's thing because I don't look at Peter Schiff anymore. And I certainly don't look at Nouriel Roubini, who is so filled with bile and hate. But this must be driving them crazy because they don't want this uttered, right? So Bitcoin has made our currency almost useless or valueless. And what he's saying is obviously it's not Bitcoin that caused the Naira to be valueless and worthless. But as we have discussed before, well, he says useless and valueless. So what we've discussed before is Bitcoin reveals the chaos, the dark ages, the fiat dark ages that were all around us.
It is the great revelation, which is a biblical overtones. Of course, the revelation in Nigeria that your paper money is valueless. That is a truism. It's also true of every paper money in every country on planet Earth. They are valueless. Now, let's talk about something, because Roubini keeps bringing this up. He says that Bitcoin has no utility. So let's talk about the difference between value and utility, okay? In the realm of paper money, there is no value and there is no utility. In the realm of Bitcoin, It has absolute value, but it also has no utility. The idea of associating utility with money is incorrect. Why? Because you want the market, through the machinations of price discovery, to be pure without the messiness of having some in the community ascribe utility value to your store of value. This is the problem of gold. Gold, because it has a perceived utility value, price discovery is interrupted or mired in terms of it being purely marketized by those in the economy itself, more so even with silver. You want the money to be valued pure subjective basis. Once you add a utility to your money, someone's going to look at it objectively as having some value as a utility, and therefore price discovery is not pure, and you end up with something less than perfect money. Because Bitcoin has no utility, it is perfect money because the market can subjectively, uninhibitedly ascribe its value vis-a-vis the price discovery mechanism in a free market. Thank you. Thank you for that, Max. Well, you're welcome. That was quite fascinating, kitty cat. And now let's turn to Stacy.
Right. So again, he had pointed out that Bitcoin has made our currency almost useless or valueless. That is what we described in today's Kaiser report, where we said that Bitcoin is, helping them out, right? It's opening the world, the globe, to their people for trade, right? Because their currency does not work for international trade. Nigerians, need US dollars. The government itself is fine because they sell their oil for US dollars and they get US dollars. But the people who want to live free, who want to trade, as all humans have done for thousands of years, they need Bitcoin in order to trade because the Naira is not accepted as an international trade.
It's not even accepted regionally with other countries.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So the Nigerians, as was explained by the CEO of Paxful,
yes,
who was on Kaiser Report,
Ray Youssef.
He said, imagine living in the United States and you couldn't send money from New York to New Jersey.
Yeah.
Right? So think about that. The tri-state area, New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, it's got all this stuff going around, trucks, trains, internet, blah, 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 and there's no consideration about, well, you can't send your New York money to New Jersey. It reminds me of when I was in Scotland. I picked up some Scottish 5-pound notes. They're 5-pound notes of the sovereign of Great Britain. And when I got back to London, this taxi driver, I tried to pay for a taxi with a 5-pound note with a picture of the Queen Elizabeth, on this note. And this taxi driver in London said, I'm not taking that Scottish money, mate. You only give me English money. And I'm like, it's the Queen is on this note, you fucking ponce. You have to take this money. It's by law. You have to take this money. He's like, no, I won't. I'm not taking that money, you cunt. And he got out of his cab and he opened the door and he jumped in the back seat where I was sitting peacefully. So I gave him a kick in the jaw and I said, look, buddy, I'm from New York and you're from frickin' Surrey. Okay, that's not a match that's going to end well for you.
Right. That C word, I'm sorry about it, but let's turn to another C word, the cryptocurrency. We didn't create cryptocurrency, said Senator Biodun Alujimi. He's another senator in Nigeria. And he said in the Senate today, we didn't create cryptocurrency, and so we cannot kill it and cannot also refuse to ensure it works for us. So he's on the right path that they need it to work for them.
Yep.
These children are doing great business with it and they are getting results, and Nigeria cannot immune itself from this sort of business. So again, there are people speaking in the Senate about they've got to get, they're identifying that Bitcoin has revealed to the world the fiat dark ages.
As I've been saying, you've got the fifth column inside these political bodies. So the senators are now split. Some of them see the value in this. And this debate will go forward, and Bitcoin will win. Of course, it has to.
Right. Go smash that like button, by the way. Hit that like button.
I'm sliding down in my chair.
I know. Max always ends up down here by the end of the show.
I'm sliding down in my chair.
And
But I really don't care. I
so
smash by Swan all day long. I have 6 million gazillion sats. Sats, more sats than there are grains of sand on the world. I'm a sat quintillionaire. Yes. Smash it, Swan. Smash it, Swan. Smash it, Swan. That's another tune. We need to get some backbeat to that. We send us the original backbeats and I'll create some fantastic lyrical poetry to them. And I'm particularly fond of that 5/4 bebop
So
cadence.
Bitcoin is at $47,000 right now. If everybody smash likes and start smash buying with us, like I'm waiting for a little bit higher to buy some more. I like to buy at new all-time highs. I almost got the new all-time high today, and I also want to look over at the U.S. So here we saw Nigeria. We covered that on Kaiser Report. Now the Nigerian news is out today. The senators are there speaking in their own government Congress saying, that, hey, Bitcoin is revealing to the world the fiat dark ages, is revealing to our citizens that the Naira is worthless. And here is something that provides something of value to them. It provides the something of value is that they're able to communicate with the rest of the world through trade. That, remember, trade is communication. So that you're expressing to somebody in Japan that you like that used car, send it over here. That's a good price.
Speak on it.
Here's my Bitcoin.
Speak on it.
So this is all about communication. So Uber communicated something to the market today and they got hit. Their stock dove, right? How do we do a dive? A swan dive.
Swan dive.
Right? Like it did a swan dive. And if the chart showed up, I would show it to you. But the fact is, let's do a swan dive. Here's Uber's share price today when it revealed that it had looked at Bitcoin and decided that it was not going to put it in its treasury because, because they thought like the US dollar was safer for the treasury.
Whoops, Swan had an accident.
Yep.
I have a spare Swan.
It's behind you, the other direct. Oh.
Jeez, you can't stop me. I can't stop smashing at Swan. I never run out of swans.
Okay. The other news out of the United States with Bank of New York Mellon. So this is pretty fascinating because, of course, Max and I were good friends with Matthew Mellon, who is an heir to, he's one of the Mellon families. Members, and he had an office at Bank of New York Mellon in Manhattan, and it's the oldest bank in America, and they just announced that they are going to custody Bitcoin for their clients. Pomp said eventually every company will join the revolution, but Bank of New York Mellon, so again, all these people hoping just for violence from the state, hoping that, like Krugman, Nouriel Roubini, and Peter Schiff, all the last thing they have going for them is that perhaps the U.S. might start, droning some of these people or kneecapping them or throwing them in a high security prison for the rest of their life. Like that's the only thing, that's their last hope to, make them feel less hateful about themselves.
Question. Why are they so pro-state?
I don't know. And I really don't care because whatever, some people get left behind. And that's what revolutions are about. There were loads of people in France who were like, fuck you people with your Enlightenment ideas. I want the king. I love the king. And that's what they're doing. Yeah. Go ahead. Answer. Question.
I have a question.
Answer. I'll answer it.
Peter Schiff says that he's a libertarian and, he's always talking about a smaller government. It would seem that Bitcoin would fit his ideology politically. That doesn't make sense to me. Can you explain?
Literally, I will fall asleep. And like yesterday, we did this live stream and it went off air. Like essentially that it would be the same. I genuinely look into my eyes. Remember we looked into the cat's eyes?
Oh, I will look into your eyes. Oh my God.
That's showing you absolute lack of any sort of concern for what Peter Schiff thinks. Like I genuinely don't care because I have something amazing and something relentlessly optimistic to look at. So I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about, and that's not about Peter Schiff. So this Bank of New York Mellon, what they are is a custodian bank. So let's not name any more people. All those people who are statists, who hate you, who hate the freedom that you have because you have Bitcoin.
You mentioned the statists. Okay.
Understand, understand that what is happening is Bank of New York Mellon is the largest custodian bank in
Right,
America.
that's true.
So what does that tell you as a former banker, Max? Like, what do you think as a custodian bank like Bank of New York Mellon, their position within the overall financial system? What does that mean? Do you think, say, Joe Biden has more power than Bank of New York Mellon? Do you think he'll go to Bank of New York Mellon and say, "Hey, Bank of New York Mellon, you can't custody Bitcoin"?
No, Joe Biden made his bones lobbying for the credit card companies. He's lobbying for the financial industry. He owes his whole career to Wall Street, so he'll do whatever Wall Street says. So he's not a factor in this. But as far as Bank of New York Mellon and their now move into Bitcoin, this solves one issue that was bandied about as a stumbling block for Bitcoin adoption, and that is custody. So, in other words, for the financial industry, for an insurance company, let's say, to have Bitcoin on its balance sheet, or to offer Bitcoin insurance products, because we don't really have that layer yet built. There are some inklings of Bitcoin related insurance products, but the issue is custodianship of the Bitcoin, and you have to be able to comply with certain regulations in terms of what qualifies as a bona fide custodian. So, Bank of New York Mellon, which is the biggest custodian in the country, and they've got trillions under custodianship. It's a huge business. It's one of those businesses where you make one fraction of a hundredth of a percent per transaction, but you have so many transactions. It's like the plot of Office Space, when they steal all that money based on fractions of pennies. That's essentially Bank of New York Mellon. And nevertheless, if they bring about bona fide, qualified, regulatorily recognized custodianship, then you've got another piece of the foundation upon which you can build this industry. Every single industry essentially is a software industry. Every industry is a software industry. You name me an industry, a company, and I'll point to a software company. There's no companies out there anymore that are not software companies. That's why people, there's a retro love of vinyl records, because it's one of the few things in life that's not software. People harken back to those old days of, vinyl records. It's not software. Or people like to bake bread at home because it's not software. The era before software is a bygone era. But since the 1970s and accelerating exponentially up until current times, it's all freaking software. And the ultimate software is Bitcoin, because it turned money, which has been non-disrupted for 5,000 years, gold, has been disrupted and is now software and softwareized. And so every single company, every single nation will plug into the Bitcoin network. So, when we said many years ago, when you buy Bitcoin, when it was $10, $20, $50, it's like buying the internet, an actual piece of the internet protocol back in the early 1990s. The internet, the protocol is worth trillions and trillions. It's almost incalculably,
Yeah.
priceless. It's the Mona Lisa. There's no price for the Mona Lisa. There's no price for the internet. It's incalculably valuable. The same thing for Bitcoin. There is no top for Bitcoin. The thing is just going to race ahead at 200% a year for 10 years. Then we might see, ratchet down to maybe only going at 100% a year. But literally, there's a $300 trillion global market that is going to all migrate over to Bitcoin. Do the frickin' math, Nuriel. You're supposed to be an economist. 2 + 2 = 4, not 7.92873 fractional reserve over the deficit of my intellect because I've been out drinking too much. No, that's not it, Nuriel. You've got to get with the program.
Right. So again, back to like the relentless optimism of the Bitcoin protocol and the world that is being revealed from of the fiat dark ages left behind. Let those people, the thing is, drowning people will often take you down with them. That's why on a flight as well, they tell you to put the oxygen on yourself first before you put it on somebody else. You got to save yourself first, and then, tell people about Bitcoin, but you can't save them. They have to save themselves. So if they want to hang out in the fiat dark ages, because in the dark ages, they are the corrupt, priests running around shaking down people for indulgences or selling them fake Jesus bones and stuff like that. Like, that's them. That's their world that they're comfortable with. And they're not ready for enlightenment. They don't want it. So that's been the case throughout history. People didn't want enlightenment. People didn't want the Renaissance. People didn't want to emerge from the Dark Ages. They wanted to stay back there.
Comment. I'd
Okay.
like to make a comment.
Oh God, this
You
is
know,
gonna drive me crazy.
uh, it's like when Tom Brady won the Super Bowl, suddenly everyone questioned Bill Belichick and his legacy. There was this question, who was really the
Yeah,
master at New England Patriots? Was it Belichick or Brady?
yeah.
Okay, Brady obviously is the genius, and Belichick was not. So here you have Bitcoin. The question is, was Nouriel Roubini a smart guy because he called the crash of 2008, or was he just another hack, university hack? Bitcoin has proven him, like Brady has proven about Belichick, that Nouriel's a hack. You know, he's really overrated, tremendously overrated, and his reputation is crashing every
Well,
single new high of Bitcoin.
well, again, there were those who were very, very violently against the American Revolution. They very much thought that what a stupid, reckless idea to put faith in governance in the people. Holy shit. We want the divine king, right? We want the king to rule us. That is the only way. You don't want deplorables to rule you. So, like, there are always going to be those people that do not have faith in the people, that do not have faith in consensus, that do not have faith that the ordinary person is not like some scumbag who deserves to live in the mud versus the elite, like those in the ivory tower. So I want to juxtapose some of these people, these unnamed people from the fiat dark ages who want to stay there. Let them stay there. They could stay there. Why not? Let them. I don't care. Like, more Bitcoin for me, right? Like, I'm going to stack sats in a few moments if the cats don't turn off this simulation. And the fact is, like, I am so happy that there are those who choose with their own free will to reside instead in the fiat dark ages. Let them. I don't care. But here's Michael Saylor, who chose the opposite. He was one of these people who was like, in 2013, 2014, was like, Bitcoin is horrible. I'm going to stick with my fiat ages. Now here he's like injected into his cerebral cortex, Bitcoin, and it's changed him because listen to this. And this sounds like Max, right? What we've been saying for years. Companies that repurchase their stock with cash weaken their business. We said that in Kai's report years ago. Those that buy back stock with debt actually impoverish their business. We again said that on Kai's report. We said that that's the reason why America is a dilapidated, hollowed out shell of a former country, right? Like of a former wealth creating entity. It's gone. It's like one of those Nigerian oil fields where they're flaring, like they're wasting all that energy for no reason at all. Like we've wasted our wealth for no reason at all, just for these, for a few individuals, a handful of guys to like load up a company with debt and buy back their stock. Bitcoin on the balance sheet is a rational alternative that strengthens a capital structure to the benefit of all stakeholders. Max, I'm calling on you.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to respond. Michael Saylor said that?
This is what Michael Saylor tweeted right here.
Right. Okay. That's right. So the first interview we did with him, and we talked to him a few months ago when he first got into Bitcoin. And my first question to him was exactly that. I said, you could have bought your own stock back, and you could have gone into debt and bought your own stock back and have executive stock options and made a bundle. You've chosen not to do that. You've chosen actually go buy Bitcoin. Now, isn't it also true, Michael Saylor, that in so doing, you've broken from the pack of the CEOs in the Fortune 500, and instead of nodding to the Federal Reserve Bank that money will always be at super cheap and you will just take all that free money and be a part of the problem, isn't it true that you're taking a bit of an adversarial position toward the Fed and saying, you know what, we don't want your stinking fiat money. We're just going to buy Bitcoin, and we're going to actually go to war with you. And he was nodding his head, and didn't want to get too much into it because he is an officer of a publicly listed company and you don't want to make comments that are going to get you too much attention. But the fact is that what Michael Saylor is doing, what Tesla is doing, what Mass Mutual is doing, what all these companies that are putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet are doing is they're repeating the playbook from George Soros, 1993, speculative attack against the Bank of England, where he made a quick $1 billion, he and Stan Druckenmiller, by using the bank against itself. They forced it out of the exchange rate mechanism. This is exactly what's going on by all these corporate CEOs buying back their own buying back Bitcoin. Now, as far as Uber goes, like we're not going to put our cash into Bitcoin. There's a couple of points. First of all, Uber has no cash. It's totally indebted, and they're lucky to be surviving. They have no cash to put into Bitcoin to begin with, so that's a moot point. Second of all, the second they said they were not going to take Bitcoin on their service, the stock crashed. So this is a signal. Markets, like you said at the very beginning, something deeply profound,
Oh
deeply,
yeah,
deeply
like people
profound.
need to hear this properly. So what did I say that was so profound? Because
That
I like to know.
markets are signals.
Yeah, I stole
And
that from you.
yeah, well, that's why it's so profound. Ultimately, I mean, okay, you also said Michael Saylor sounds like me. Well, okay, we've been in Bitcoin for 10 years. And so we've been, um, you know, converted into the Bitcoin philosophy and logic and
Yeah,
quasi religious aspects to it.
yeah,
And therefore, people who come after who are also converted, they're going to sound like the people who
yeah.
were first down the road to Damascus, right?
Sure, sure.
We
That's
were
the way it happens.
we've been to Damascus already. So the people on the road to Damascus are going to sound like the people who've been already arrived at Damascus. And voila, this is why there's some symmetry there between what's being said amongst all these parties. And ultimately, what we're saying is reflected in the white paper. So and the white paper is that moment, that spark of original genius that we've only seen very frequently throughout history. The Gutenberg press, the electric light bulb, even the invention of fire itself was a spark of ingeniousness that changed everything forever. And there was nothing before it and after it. Therefore, in conclusion, my summary would be this. You're absolutely right. Markets are sending a signal, and now Uber is being spanked. They're being bitch slapped. Their stock is being hammered because they're saying stupid things. And for the new management of Uber to get with the program, or Lyft, which is a competitor of Uber, they should come out today and say, you know what? Uber is an idiot. We're going to actually take Bitcoin in our Lyft network. And Lyft stock would immediately go up. You see, that's the way competition works. That's the price discovery mechanism. That's what the Enlightenment told us. That's what America's all about. Not bureaucrats on top dictating nonsense. I read somewhere today that some Egyptian pharaoh who ruled Egypt had his own personal nose picker. I mean, what a waste of money that is. Give me a freaking break.
Max, that was like 4,000 years ago. You're just upset about it now that he wasted money?
Look at it. This is an Escher. Look at that. You can do Escher prints with Swan. Look at that. You can use super glue together, create an Escher-like masterpiece, stick it on the wall, and smash by a Swan. There's no end to the possibilities. No end.
Right. So I'm looking for some more smash likes. We have 1,400 people watching us and only 487 likes at the moment. And when we get that, I'm going to say the positive side of that statement of what MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor had said, because I think it's really important to consider the positive side of what actually that means about the putting Bitcoin on your balance sheet versus putting more debt to buy more stocks back. So, okay. So people already added 100 likes. You guys are damn good. Unless it's the cats doing this to me and gaslighting me. Like, I don't know.
No, the cats are definitely meddling. That's for sure. The cats meddle. They like to meddle, particularly in this particular simulation right now. Bitcoiners are a way out of the simulation. The simulation is getting a little worn at the seams, right? And that's why people are seeing into the source code.
Yeah.
And
I think that's true. And I think what I wanted to say about that MicroStrategy story. So just in case you're just tuning in, because I see people piling in, watching us. And I read a tweet from Michael Saylor, and Michael Saylor of MicroStrategy, who started this run by the corporates into Bitcoin. He said that companies that repurchase their stock with cash weaken their business. Those that buy back stock with debt actually impoverish their business. And that's the most important sentence there, okay, in terms of what explains the US economy since 2000 in particular. We've essentially bought back the stock of America with debt, and it impoverished the people.
Voila.
That's why we have so many deplorable people here, according to the elites, right? That people are angry. They get called alt-right, they get called fascists, they get called neo-Nazis, they get called all these words, deplorables, and like let's erase them from the history books. Let's re-educate them. Let's try to deplatform them so we don't have to hear their pain. We don't have to hear their anger and disappointment at what we the elite did, because that's what I mean. That's exactly what the French, monarchy did in the lead up to their demise. Is that they didn't want to.
Yeah,
If you live
exactly.
in Versailles, do you want to change? Do you want things to change? Do you want to like have to go into a bed sit somewhere? No, you want to stay in Versailles, right? You want to live there. You don't want to leave because
Right.
your life is pretty good.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Warren Buffett is the new John Law. He's just totally
Because Warren Buffett is big into
stock
stock
buybacks.
buybacks
See,
now.
without stock buybacks, Warren Buffett's performance would be less than a money market fund. But you're right. Quantitative easing or buying back your own stock, is essentially fraud. And you're defrauding your own country by buying back your debt monetization. And that's why the U.S. dollar purchasing power is crashing, not only against Bitcoin, of course. The U.S. dollar is in a hyperinflationary collapse against Bitcoin. But also look at the stock market and these other markets. They're telling you that the dollar's purchasing power is collapsing. Tesla stock is high, very high. He's a smart guy. But more importantly, the value of the dollar is crashing against Tesla stock. This is what's happening to the dollar. And people often say, well, the inflation rate's only 2%. And this is one of the greatest contributions Michael Saylor has made to the debate by ripping through this economics gobbledygook about the inflation rate being 2%. Michael Saylor says, look, money's being printed at 15% a year. My purchasing power is losing 15% a year, or
Yeah,
my economic energy is.
I want to jump in there because that's important. I just realized when you said that, like, I remember you saying that on Kaiser Report about 7 or 8 years ago, where you told workers that they should tie their income to money supply
Right. I
increase.
said that's what
And
you
that's
got to tie.
exactly what he's doing by, okay, he can't do that in a way like you have to keep on running in place just to, that red queen syndrome of you have to keep on producing and producing just to stay flat with inflation. But that's what we used to do when we were still kind of close back in the 70s. Max might remember this. Workers used to like their every year they got a pay increase tied to what inflation was. So inflation was running
Right. You
rampant at
had organized
10%.
labor, and then Reagan fired all the air traffic controllers, and you separated labor from Wall Street.
But we were also just so recently on the gold standard, so they still understood the role of the central bank and our trade policy in the value of our dollar.
Right. So if you look at the prices of stuff, there's a great chart I tweeted about this. It shows the prices of stuff in the last 15 years. At the top of the range, you've got education and healthcare, and they've been increasing by hundreds of percentage points.
Yes.
And then down below, toward the bottom, you have things that have gone down in price, like electronics from China and clothes from Vietnam, right? So if you were to take an aggregate of all these numbers and do a weighted basket of goodies that the average person, consumes, because the average person does consume healthcare, the average person does consume housing, for example. Your actual experience to the loss of purchasing power or inflation is very similar to the rate of money printing per year, which is 15% and above. This chart actually showed that the rate of inflation is closer to 50%. So the academics, like the Nouriel Roubini's and others, they really hew to this notion that you need to fight what they call deflation by printing more money, even though we know that the money printing is there for only one reason: to make it cheaper for executives to buy back their own stock, manipulate prices, and to give themselves billions of dollars, which causes wealth and income gaps, which causes social unrest. We know that. But nevertheless,
It's just hollowing out the companies
right.
because
So Saylor's
it used
blowing the whistle on this.
it used to be as goes GE, so goes
Right, as
America.
goes General Motors, so goes the nation. Right, so
Yep.
General Motors was that was an old phrase about how even Warren Buffett said a company growing at a multiple greater than the inflation rate is probably doing so by untoward means. Right, I mean it's hard to grow faster than the environment, the economy of which you are in. Particularly if you're a large company. But look, Saylor is blowing the whistle not only on fiat money and gold, he's blowing the whistle on the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the BLS, that publishes all this chicanery nonsense data and that they push through the mainstream financial media as being the gospel truth. And it's absolute lie. And so, I can understand if these economists that work at big universities, and particularly Rubini at NYU, and I'm an NYU alumnus, and I'm ashamed to say that Rubini is associated with NYU. He's embarrassed all alumnus, and he's embarrassed the university
Mm-hmm,
horribly
mm-hmm.
with his carrying on. But nevertheless, he is putting forth a message to support the status quo. And I believe you are correct in making the analogy to the Revolutionary War in American history, because only 30% of the population wanted it, 30% of the population was ambivalent, and the remaining population was adamantly against it. And that's the Rubinis of the world, the Benedict Arnolds, the people who will sell you out.
It's just, you could spend time getting angry about it. And that's wasted energy. That's wasted time. Like that 1 minute will never be got back again. It's gone. It's gone forever. So like you could either spend time building, like cypherpunks build a future, right? Cypherpunks write code, cypherpunks build. So that's like the ethos of Bitcoin. So all those people who love to engage with Nouriel Roubini and Peter Schiff in endless fights on Twitter, I'm like, I see it go through my stream, and I just think, well, I don't know why that Bitcoiner wants to waste those several hours of day of
it's
their
the
life.
tyranny of testosterone. We can't help but get into bar fights because we have semen, right? And we get into fights, and we beat the shit out of each other. That's the way we talk. Men talk through violence. That's the way men talk, okay? That's the way it is.
Well, let's build this episode right here, Microdose. Let's smash some more likes. Let's also find out what the Bitcoin price is, because that's, for me, relentless optimism. That, for me, is heading to the moon.
That's like,
I like that.
That's like an estrogen thing, right? It's like everything is just this unbelievably rich cosmic field of creation, right? We don't have that option. We just supply the raw material. We can't do the creation bit.
I get it. Okay, so I'm over at myswanbitcoin.com/orange pill. I'm looking at it, and I see the buy instantly button. Who's ready to buy instantly?
Yeah, who's ready to smash buy?
I'm going to go back to, I was hoping it was going to be 50,000, but it's not, but it's close enough. So the episode title still is the episode title is called Microdosing, $50,000. And right now the price is $47,100. And smash. Okay, we're going to levitate the Fed. We're going to levitate the Fed. And 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2. Here it goes. Come on. Oh, buy now. Okay. I love. See, I kind of feel like, if all those people are gonna, those corporate CEOs are like buying back shares with debt and loading the population up with debt, like. The more they do that, the more I head towards fiat bankruptcy.
Right. It's the equivalent of corporate autoerotic suicide.
Autoerotic suicide.
That's what buying back your own stock is. It's autoerotic suicide. Look, IBM has bought back 160 billion of its own stock. The company's worth 130 billion. IBM committed autoerotic financial suicide by buying back its own stock to death. Now it's in an unmanageable mess that not even...
Well, that's what, when you look at these, our cultural elite now, because let's face it, the Democrats run they don't necessarily run our economy, but they run our cultural sector and our society and what is permitted speech, for example, in our American economy, and therefore, a lot of the rest of the world. So what they'll say is like, you listen to what they focus on, and they're like these cats that run the simulation and turn off our live stream here. What they do is they try to distract you. So remember here, speaking of testosterone, Tom Brady wins a Super Bowl, and I swear to God, they were genuinely, not only did we covered this on the last microdose before the cat cut us off. They were admonishing him for not wearing a mask after winning his 7th Super Bowl title. But then yesterday he got drunk.
Yeah.
He looked drunk. He was being held up and walked by some friend. And they were like, this is, again, they were saying, this is just bad conduct for children to see this. And I was just like, okay, like, what about IBM? Like, you guys have these sort of CEOs who freaking killed this country, killed our economy, killed all those 70,000 people a year who overdose on opioids. A lot of it is due to the lack of hope that caused by the crushing of the autoerotic suicide of these companies.
Right.
So like, what about that? Like, why? Like, who cares about Tom Brady not wearing a mask and being drunk? Who cares? Go ahead.
I'd like to say something, but
Go.
I feel constrained by the need to be optimistic.
Go ahead.
Why
and
can't I
be,
say something
you,
about
you,
if,
no.
if I talk about these opiate companies, it's not going to be like eternally optimistic.
So we're like yin and yang. I am the relentless optimism.
Yeah,
Max is the.
But you're just talking about opiate pushers and mass death by corporation in America. That's not relentlessly optimistic.
No, it is, in that is the fiat dark ages. These are your choices that you're being presented with. Hang out. Go watch Maddow. Go watch Anderson Cooper. Go watch their shows. That it's a free world. They don't want you to see us. But they want you stuck in that world where they focus you on Tom Brady and don't mind that half your family just committed suicide with opioid overdose. We're saying, like, you could have that alternative. You could exit that system because, as these Nigerian senators just, stated, there's a storm coming through here. That basically, Bitcoin is exposing that whole fiat dark ages.
Well, so to your point there, that you've got a cabal of tastemakers and cultural imperialists who are carroning their way through the landscape, pointing fingers at this quarterback who won the Super Bowl for not having the shibboleth of mask wearing to communicate to the unwashed masses their total domination and control. And this is to be discouraged at all costs, and it causes many folks to rise up and overthrow and insurrect, as we see now in the United States. And it's not just about how bad Aaron Rodgers did for the Green Bay Packers in the game before that. It's not just about Patrick Mahomes not having cojones and not winning the Super Bowl. It's bigger than the Super Bowl. It's bigger than Tom Brady. It's bigger than all of that. It's Satoshi. And Satoshi is, look, these people in mainstream media news you're talking about. The thing is that I have confidence. My relentless optimism is this, that they're going to be turned out by Bitcoin. And
yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what I say.
Right, exactly. So in Rachel Maddow's case, that would be number two. That would be the second.
So what I would also point out is, that whole mask thing. And at this moment of time where there's loss of faith in institutions, it's weird to me because I try to think of Joe Biden, right? Like he's kind of like an invisible man now. Because he always has a mask on, and with the declining cognitive ability, your eyes, your pupils get bigger and bigger, so you get really coal black eyes.
Get the kitty cat out. Get the kitty cat photo.
Yeah.
Okay, look at that. Look at this. This is the Joe Biden of cats.
It's a demented cat.
The cat's obviously going through a Joe Biden senior moment right now. It's the pupils are dilated.
That's how you know it's not actually a kitten. It's just pretending to be a kitten.
Robot.
It's just like tricking you into being, oh, I'm so adorable. I'm a little baby kitten.
This is Joe Biden's mother's placenta that's been reanimated as an automatonic cat on the other side of the simulation. You heard it here first.
Well, so that's the thing is like what, like how can you have faith in these institutions when it's run by an invisible man with cold black eyes? Like how like it just seems bizarre.
You know how you do it? You push the dogma. So you don't need reason, you don't need governance, you just need dogma. So they have phrases and they have sayings. Like
I know, I'm saying that's like that is the truth, but that's why people, I don't know, they need to have, people have faith in these institutions. They had faith in the institutions failed them, and now they're all trying to like run away and hide. I think the putting the mask and pretending like I don't exist, don't come after me. I preside. By the way, Joe Biden started his political career in 1972. He was elected in 1971, just after we went off the gold standard. So he is like the embodiment of it. And so that he's hiding his face. He's the invisible man with coal black eyes. I just feel like it's some sort of, he embodies this fiat dark ages.
Well, to give you an example of what you're talking about there. So I now am totally more fluent and involved with the Nigerian Senate than I
Yeah.
am with the American Senate. Like,
Sure.
I literally have no idea what's going on in the American Senate. I have no idea who sits in the American Senate at this time, who's in Congress. I know that there was an election a few weeks ago, but I like just completely lost interest, because what I'm looking at are countries that are on the cutting edge of actually embracing this Bitcoin revolution. Nigeria, to me, is an interesting. I'm much more interested in the Nigerian Senate and what the Nigerian Senate's going to do, because they have more impact on my life than the American Senate. I have much more interest in what's happening in Ukraine, because they apparently are going to go whole hog into Bitcoin mining. That's not the United States. I have a lot more interest in what's happening in Venezuela, because they've experimented with cryptocurrencies and the petro, and now they're getting into Bitcoin. I have interest in Iran, because apparently they've got 2 or 3% of the hash rate. The one country that I have almost no interest in whatsoever is the United States of America, because they have no official position on Bitcoin. Therefore, they're not relevant in the 21st century. I wish they would, get relevant and enter the race for hash power. That would be cool. But I don't see it happening, so I don't really care.
On a positive note, I just smash bought. Like, if the
But
U.S.
that is a positive note.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like, to tell you that point, the U.S. doesn't have any interest in Bitcoin, and that's amazing for us, because we all got to smash buy Bitcoin today. If the U.S. government wants to spend trillions of dollars on Bitcoin, yeah, our the stack we already have will go up, but we won't have access to anymore, because they'll outbid us. So I think it's an amazing time. It's so amazing. Like, the Nigerian senators, those words they uttered are like, that's your signal that you better grab as many sats as you can while you still can, because they're speaking it to each other. That's going to trickle out through other senates around the world, and they're
Right.
all going to be like, Bitcoin is exposing our own currency as useless and valueless. It's like, yes,
Right.
that's
So right
true.
now you can exchange worthless pieces of paper, fiat money, for
Yes,
Bitcoin. At
yes.
some point, when the world becomes hyper Bitcoinization and
Oh,
there is no more fiat money, the only way you can get Bitcoin is by working for it. You'll have to take a job, and you'll have to be paid in Bitcoin, and you'll get your Bitcoin, and you'll be happy to get your Bitcoin for the work that you do. But for us, the unique proposition here is fantastic, because for 10 years now, we've been able to shovel all this worthless crap into an exchange, and they give us back the hardest money ever known to humanity since the cats first invented the simulation. And so that, and now people like Ray Dalio are
yeah.
just now waking up to Bitcoin. Ray is a slow turtle guy who writes a book about principles that's about 500 pages long, and he missed Bitcoin. That's where
Mm.
Ray Dalio is at.
Yeah, because he only wrote that in the past year,
And
year and a
yeah,
half,
he
right?
wrote it in the last year and a half. It's this huge book called Principles that everyone is looking at and saying, "Oh my God, this is just so great." And he puts out videos like, "This is money. This is the economy. This is great." But he totally missed Bitcoin. And he's just now being introduced to it. And as of today, we don't have the information that he's actually bought any. He will, as I predicted he will, because at the end of the day, Ray, unlike some of these other people, is not stupid. He's actually teachable. He's a humble guy at the end of the day, to the degree necessary
Well,
to embrace Bitcoin.
you can't be one of the largest hedge fund managers in the world by staying stuck on one idea. Like, that's not you go into traditional, but you go work at JP Morgan instead. Like, you're not getting it if you get stuck on an idea, or you go work for Peter
No,
Schiff.
you become part of the Dianetics crowd, and you become that church, Scientology. I
Right.
mean, he's not a Scientologist. I
Smash
think
that like button.
Scientologists will be the last. They'll never get into Bitcoin, because it doesn't work, because Jim Jones, the Guyana massacre, drinking the Kool-Aid. They never got into Bitcoin. They were totally fixated, like the ether people. Like, I think they're like the Jim Jones of this industry. They follow a psychotic, mass murdering psychopath, and they're all going to drink the Kool-Aid that is ether. But that's another story. That's another show. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
Right. Smash that like button. We're almost at 1,000 likes. That's cool, right? Let me see some of the comments here.
Yeah.
See if there's
You
anything
ask me
interesting.
anything, and my answer will still be the same: buy Bitcoin.
Okay, ask Max anything.
Yeah. Max, what's the best keto cheesecake recipe? The answer is buy Bitcoin. Max, where'd you get those cool Bitcoin swim trunks? The answer is Bitcoin. Max, if I've got it, should I draw it to an inside straight if the other people at the table have all face up pairs and queens? The answer is buy Bitcoin.
People say that your drink always looks yummy. It's
Yeah,
iced coffee,
it's
right?
keto.
Cold brew.
No, it's my special brew. I can explain
Okay,
what's in my special brew.
Okay, Max, I'm calling on you. What is in your drink?
The answer is Bitcoin. No, no, no,
Ah,
no. It's all good. See, this is, first of all, as you know, I make my own cold brew.
yes,
In
he
my
does.
own,
He makes it for us, and it is so good. We have it. We start every day off with that. That's the first thing when I jump into the Orange Pill Podcast Telegram group. I say, "Where's my
right.
coffee?"
So it's cold brew, and I have the triple pitcher system.
It is.
Right. So I've got 3 cold brew pitchers in the refrigerator, and I let them sit for 3 days. Essentially, it's the triple pitcher system. So, and we drink about a pitcher a day. I drink about a pitcher of cold brew a day, or we drink about a pitcher a day. So typically, like in this particular concoction, we've got a base layer of my triple pitcher cold brew, which is, I'd say, most of the beverage. On top of that, I sometimes sprinkle in some powdered espresso,
Oh my God.
some espresso
Jesus.
powder. I
Like
just put a
I've
light sprinkling in there.
I've had some of that espresso power. It is so
Right.
powerful. You would not believe it. I
Right.
almost had a heart attack that one time I had
Yeah,
some.
so that's a little edgy. So to take
That's
the
an
edge off,
understatement.
to take the edge off of the espresso powder, I'll put a dollop of heavy cream. Right. So heavy cream makes everything taste great. You
Oh
could
my
put
God.
heavy cream in dog shit, and it would taste fucking awesome. Right. That's the magic of heavy cream. Whatever you put it in, it tastes great. It tastes fantastic. You know, it's the basis of whipped cream, which is the greatest thing ever invented by humans. It solves all problems. Whipped cream. So you put a little heavy cream in there, takes the edge off the espresso powder, and it's sitting on the base layer of the triple pitcher cold brew, which is the body. Now, occasionally I mix it up. I'll put in a little squirt of keto caramel just for fun. Don't do that often because, but sometimes I do. Or I'll put in a squirt of cocoa, keto cocoa, to give it a little cocoa. Today, it's just without the keto caramel or the keto cocoa. It's just the triple pitcher cold brew, topped off with some espresso powder and a dollop of heavy cream. That's my base go-to drink.
If you're just tuning in, yes, this is a Bitcoin podcast. You might be confused by Max's
It
keto recipe.
It gives me a nice, joyous feeling.
It does.
It's uplifting.
So I'm going to look at the comments to see if there's any like particular comment or question. Otherwise, we're going to wrap up because we do have to go to record some full dose stuff that's coming out on Sunday. We also, remember, Nomi Prince is going to be on the full dose. And I also want to say that later today, we're going to be on this Clubhouse thing with Swan Signal.
Oh,
Max,
Clubhouse, yeah.
Max, I guess the star of the, the special guest is not Mia Max, but it's Lynn Alden.
Yeah.
And, she's amazing. She's a really good addition
to
the big, like 2020 brought in so many new voices and people into the Bitcoin space that it's like, including Lynn Alden, including Michael Saylor, and
I saw Nick Carter was on Bloomberg.
yeah.
So I got to give it to Bloomberg. Over there, Joe Wiesenthal, we like to rag on Joe Wiesenthal, but he does bring on people like Nick Carter, and Nick Carter is kind of the Shakespeare or the Ben Franklin of Bitcoin. Really great writer, and he speaks very, very well. And today he was talking about this concept about Bitcoin's usage of energy, and he kind of walked through the guy does so much work. I mean, I would never do that much work before I did a public statement. As you may have guessed, I don't do any work before I open my mouth. But here you have Nick Carter, who's like, just pouring on the data and the rationality and walking through the energy usage of Bitcoin and why it's favors renewables. It's actually in energy, net energy, green energy, etc. And it does a great job. I recommend you check that out if you can find it and you can stomach Joe Wiesenthal, which a lot of people can't, including myself.
I mean, just even look at that energy FUD, because look at Nigeria. Nigeria is like, it ordered its central bank to, the central bank ordered banks to ban any cryptocurrency related companies. But look at all their flaring they do. Okay. That's like way more destructive to the environment than capturing it and mining Bitcoin with it. So, I mean, that's absurd. And but on a positive note, I bought some Bitcoin, and I can't believe somebody was willing to take my dollars for those. I forget how much I bought. See, like
Yep.
I'm just like smash buying all the time.
Unconscious smash buy.
Unconscious
Your
smash
your
buy.
your unconscious mind is fusing with the Bitcoin protocol.
And I keep on wondering,
Just through
like,
the portal.
if you look at my bank statement every month, my fiat bank statement,
Yeah.
it's just prime trust, prime trust, prime trust, prime trust. Like the whole page is all
I
prime
saw
trust.
that a couple of months ago. It was like 20 pages with nothing but prime trust on it. And I was like, holy shit, what the was I having too much coffee or what's going on here?
Well, I just like they seem to be fine with it. Like in the early days, like even 4 or 5 years ago, you would have been, your bank would have cut you off.
Yeah.
But now they're fine with it.
Yeah.
And
That's the thing. These kids today, you don't know how difficult. We had to climb through 20 feet of snow to get to the exchange
true.
and
That's
buy some
true.
Bitcoin and then have somebody mug us on the way back and lose it all.
Yeah, I'll tell
That's
you.
the way it was
I'll
back
tell
in
you who mugged us.
back in 20,
This is
2011 when
this is
Bitcoin was $1.
this is the photo, the profile we provided the police.
Look at that. Look at that cat mugger.
This cat mugged us.
Yep. Of course, it's shapeshifted.
It went like first,
And
yeah. It went.
It's shapeshifted.
It went meow, meow, meow. My little
Yeah,
starving
no, I mean,
kitty. It was just like tried to act cute.
when the cat ripped us off back at that time, it was shapeshifted into the form of George Osborne. Didn't look like the kitty cat like you see here. It was a George Osborne figure.
Right. Anyway, I guess we hit 1,000 likes, and now we got to go prepare for other stuff. I'm glad the cats decided. I'm glad you decided to let us finish this microdose because it was very rude of you and very rambunctious. Like it was like too much catnip. The cat did too much catnip yesterday, and kept on.
Did I mention there's catnip in my beverage?
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
That's a special secret ingredient, not cat poop. That's only for holidays.
That's for
taxioplasmosis. But during the regular week, I just use catnip. It's much better than cat poop. Am I right?
Smash that like button and
Don't
then smell
eat
your
swan
finger.
Poop, okay? Public service announcement. Swan poop will not get you high like cat poop. Okay? Keep that in mind, kids. Don't eat swan poop.
All right. Well, say goodbye to the people, Max.
All right, people. It's time to adios. To get on my unicorn and fly off into the multidimensional outer universe to speak with Satoshi, whom I have commerce with on a daily basis.
Smash that finish button like a cat.
What about the Swedish button?
That